the Babylon Bee's topic of the week.
All right, I don't know how this topic of the week is going to go, but let's give it a shot. So this week, we had a post. Senator Hirono demands ACB be weighed against a duck to see if she's a witch. Later on, we got a message from Facebook
That's
saying...
not true, right?
That's not true. It's satire. Okay. Later on, we got a message from Facebook saying, you've violated our community standards. And we couldn't figure out why. They didn't tell us what post.
They didn't tell you what post. It's just like...
hey, by the way, you violated community standards.
Hey, you kind of... So that's kind of like when you walk and you see somebody you talk to all week, and then they're like, you really offended me on last week. What?
It's like being with your wife.
Right, yeah.
And she's like...
Oh, you walk in and she's mad at you, and you're like...
You know why.
Yeah, she knows why.
No, she tells you. You know why.
Yeah.
What? No, I don't. I don't know. You know. So Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg is like our wife.
Okay. We don't have one wife. We're not that weird of a religious cult. That'd be weird. Destiny.
Yeah, you derail this podcast so much. It's so funny, dude. So we got this message, and later on, our social media guy Matt, he's like, "Hey, did you guys notice that the post has been taken down?" And we're like, "What?" So we go back; it's completely deleted. I go and I go through their process to like appeal, and like, what is this? Blah blah blah. We get nothing back. Mm-hmm. So we go out to social media and we start like sounding the alarm, like, "Hey!"
Yeah. Seth's good at that.
Seth's really good at it. And he's like, they're killing the conservatives. Yeah. They're shooting us in the face.
They took our jobs. Yeah.
And it's kind of true.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Yeah.
Definitely. So we're like waiting. Eventually it turned out that because the post said she's a witch, we must burn her. Mm-hmm. You were inciting violence.
And that's from Monty Python, right?
That is from Monty Python.
Okay.
Good job.
I only know because Seth said that.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, no matter Monty Python or whatever, it's like we're quoting this character who's saying, we have to burn her for being a witch.
After weighing her against a duck. Like you're gonna take if you're going to take that one line seriously, you got to take the whole thing seriously.
And the fact that we're quoting a character that we like. So Senator Hirono didn't really say this. Yes. And we're making fun of her, like her whole demeanor and her whole attitude.
Is she the one who
we're making fun of that? Like we're making fun of this idea that she's like, because she's the one who asked her if she ever committed sexual assault.
Yeah.
So it's like hilarious. So we're in this situation now. So basically, what it sounded like was, well, what they claim is the AI algorithm comes along and goes, it says we must burn her, inciting violence. Detected,
and they just auto,
and then they like auto delete it. But then we were told, well, we appealed it, we reviewed it, we're standing firm on this. You have to delete that, or your page continues to be dinged and suppressed and demonetized.
That makes it different. It's not the algorithm.
Now there's a person sitting there.
There's a person sitting there going, yeah, this really does. Like I could see somebody reading that and then just getting out a butcher knife and running out of the room, and God knows what happens next.
We have to hold witch trials.
Yeah.
Babylon Bee said so.
We got to go burn somebody.
We got to burn some people at the stake.
Get the kerosene.
So I did actually, just before this podcast, I talked to Seth, and he said that he got a call from Facebook. And they said they're going to...
Mark Zuckerberg on the phone.
Mark Zuckerberg, not really. And he said they're going to reverse it.
Oh.
So they were like, man...
Dang, and there goes our persecution.
And they said, why didn't you guys just call us, man?
What?
And we're like...
That's what Mark Zuckerberg said?
Yeah. Hey, man.
You could just text me.
You could have just called us. Bucko? Oh, wait. That's the wrong.
You want to watch Encino Man tonight? I think what he would want to do.
I got the Pee Wee Herman movie, if you guys want to watch that. What's the movie that like one of those kinds of people would want to watch? Encino Man might be.
How about Biodome?
Oh, that's the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Maybe he was very inspired by it. I don't know.
That is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know if I ever made it through it.
Biodome. We had a guy at our church who was like a very kind guy, very gentle, and always like take care of us, bring us free pizza and all this stuff. We were sick. Bags of Sprite. And he goes, have you guys ever seen Biodome? So we rented it. My parents rented it for us, and we all sat down. We're like, what in the world? Worst movie I've ever seen. What are we talking about? Facebook.
We're talking about Mark Zuckerberg.
So
they took it back.
So there's obviously...
So we're remonetized? Even though we don't really...
Just moments ago, supposedly.
We don't really monetize through Facebook, right? Yet.
But we do use some of the tools where we'll tag a sponsor and all that stuff, and you can't do that. And then presumably because you have this like yellow flag on your page, your posts are going to be more like monitored and suspect. Okay. Nobody knows the inner workings of the algorithm. So that's more what I wanted to talk about more broadly is this idea of writing comedy on the internet, writing comedy in the social media age, because it's totally different than it used to be 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So 20 years ago, I would go on homestarrunner.com in the morning.
Yeah.
Like I had these sites that I thought...
You had like your list.
Yeah, we had bookmarks, and you would go, open all these bookmarks. I want to see what Homestar Runner has to say.
Remember Stumble Upon?
Yeah, where they would just bring up like
you
random
just click
stuff.
this button on your browser, and you just find a whole new website to go to, and it's all these different...
Yeah. So there was kind of this wild west of like comedy and content creation where you found all these quirky websites, and I would find little communities, like there was like this one had a forum, and you'd go talk with other like-minded people who like this also, and the little communities would form in comment sections, and you get to know people, and it was just a different time, and now you have to write for the algorithm. Like everything I write, every headline we write on the Babylon Bee, I have to go, how's this going to perform on Facebook?
Yeah, because I think in my memory, this could be, I see everything through the prism of my own life, but when Axe Cop went viral, it didn't seem like, no matter what I posted at that time, and it could be just because Axe Cop was so popular at the time, but I remember it shifting very blatantly one day, that every post got a certain amount of views and likes and responses, and it was big. And then suddenly one day, it was really small, and I looked into it, and they had just changed the policy that like you basically have to pay to reach your audience. Mm-hmm. And the only way to work around that is if people naturally, organically share your posts. And I don't even know how you measure that, like exactly. I don't know how is there a certain amount of suppression that happens? Every time it gets shared, it unsuppresses some of it. I don't know how it works, but because then I learned when I made my bear stuff, from my bear book, Bears Want to Kill You.
BEAR.
Yeah. I realized that there was if I made certain meme type stuff, it would break through that, and I could get all these thousands and hundreds of thousands of shares without paying. Yeah. Which costs a ton. It costs a lot of money to get that kind of exposure.
Yes, you're not making necessarily. Now your memes
and this is the people that have already liked your page and want your content.
Right. And so your memes your bear memes are hilarious, and people love them, and they get stolen all the time and shared everywhere.
There's people who have gotten way more shares on them than I ever did.
So maybe it was good in a way that it forced you into this other form of comedy you didn't want to write. But at the same time, it wasn't the comedy you set out to write. You didn't set out to write like bear memes.
Right.
But it turned into Bears Want to Kill You. I mean...
Well, it is sad because like I make a comic called Bearmageddon. It's a labor of love, but it's never going to do well on the internet because
it's long form.
It's long form.
Not every panel is funny.
Not, and memes are they're fart jokes basically. It's just a simple, dumb. People see that format, and it's just a quick, easy thing. And so the internet doesn't cater to quality content. It caters to the quick gut reaction to somebody wanting to click.
Yeah.
Which is why outrage is so big.
I use this metaphor of like if you were a comedian and you were trying to reach your audience, and then all of a sudden Mark Zuckerberg comes along and he closes the curtain. And you're sitting behind the curtain and he goes,
I just bought this theater, so.
Yeah, actually, by the way.
One sec.
And he goes, hey, you're just going to tell me your jokes? And then I'll decide which ones your audience can see. And then I'll just walk out there and tell them. So he does. And then you're sitting behind the curtain and you hear them laughing to this joke and not laughing at that joke and laughing at this one. And you're like, I don't know which ones did well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why posts do well or don't do well.
Right.
And there's like this level of disconnect from your audience. It sucks. If you go back and look at The Onion when they were a physical printed out paper, there's so many dumb jokes that they would tell, and I mean that in the kindest way possible. Mm-hmm. Like they could do little classifieds and little
throwaway.
Because you picked up this thing and you were just passively like flipping through this paper. But now every joke we tell, it feels like you're always trying to hit a home run. Because that's how social media works.
Be a home run, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a home run as far as like a golden joke. It has to be something that people will share.
People will share.
So even if it's just like Man, aren't Democrats dumb?
Yeah.
Killer.
Boom.
Thousands.
10,000 shares.
Yeah. 'Cause he just, I think it's, what do you call it? A clapter? Is that
It's
Frank?
clapter, yeah. Yeah, because I think people see a social media share not as like, check out this hilarious joke, but as like, they identify with that post. This is something I want to share because I want to say something. Or
Yeah,
I really identify with
You're putting
this.
it on your wall. So you're right. So like your Facebook page is your wall.
Yeah, so you're not
Your
going to...
meme is the thing you would hang on your digital house wall and show this is me, right? So it's to some extent,
Yes.
right? You're representing
I agree.
yourself.
Yeah.
I think you imagine
It's a
somebody clicking
representation of
on your
yourself.
page, just as like when you decorate your house and you think like this is all the stuff that people want. This is the impression I want to make on people. So yeah, it's so much different than people want to represent themselves with the things they share, and that's different than if they just laughed at it. It would be nice if we could just mic everybody, and if they laugh out loud in real life, then the algorithm hears the laugh and that perpetuates it.
And then you get like a share.
Yeah,
Or you
Or I could just say-
goes back up.
actual laughs.
Like actual laugh reaction is actual laugh.
Yeah, real laughs out loud. They'd have to not be able to hear them talking though. Could only hear laughs.
I've heard Jerry,
I guess you could have then. There'd be laugh farms.
that you could pay to get more laughter.
Yeah, you
or
like.
something.
Yeah, it's like in some South American, or for the Philippines or whatever. They can like hire out laugh farms, and there's just a bunch of
Learn how you can get your post
in a
share.
warehouse.
I heard Jerry Seinfeld say that writing jokes on Twitter would be his hell. He says like, I cannot hear my audience.
Yeah,
Like for him, that writing.
that's our life. Just about until we got Patrick, we couldn't hear
Yeah.
anything.
Now, there he is. It makes me feel funnier.
I know. Like, well, people laugh at us.
Oh wow! I hope that's how all you sound at home.
Yeah.
There's an article on Vulture you guys should read. It's called "How Facebook is Killing Comedy." It'll be linked in our show notes, and you can look it up. Called "How Facebook is Killing Comedy." It was an interview with Matt Klinman, who worked at Funny or Die.
So he died.
And it was funny, and then he didn't tell one joke that was funny, and then he just he immediately died. But he did this interview with Vulture after Funny or Die had to do another round of layoffs. They killed their entire editorial team, basically because Facebook did this pivot to video where they told everybody, we're going to promote video content. That's what's hot now, video. So everyone like fired all their writers and hired video guys. And we're like, yeah, we're doing video content. Wow. And then it turned out like that didn't make any money on Facebook. And then Facebook was taking all the ad money. It wasn't going to the content creators. So then they all fired their video teams. And so they gutted Funny or Die. So he wrote on Twitter, Mark Zuckerberg just walked into Funny or Die and laid off all my friends. He says, there's simply no money in making comedy online anymore. Facebook has completely destroyed independent digital comedy. And I really sympathize with everything he says in this article. A lot of what I'm saying about how we comedy writers are just trying to figure out what the algorithm wants. Like I have to write for the algorithm. It sucks.
Yeah.
I go to headlines and I'm like, oh, that's a great headline. Yeah, Facebook's going to kill that. We
Yeah.
have to change it,
Yeah.
Because it's like ultimately, yeah, we can write that joke in its purest form, but 500 people are going to read it. Versus we have to edit it so it'll be good for Facebook, and then 50,000 people are going to read it, even though it's a worse joke. And I hate that.
Yeah, I hate that too.
It's a reality. It's something I have to do.
Yeah.
But it sucks. I mean,
It definitely skews it skews everybody further into their corner.
Yeah, because you're following the ones you want, and that's what Facebook is doing with the algorithm. It's going like, what do you want to see?
Yeah.
Rewriting.
Making everybody more extreme, which is supposed to be. I think that their altruistic purpose in all these algorithms and stuff is to like avoid fake news or something. That's what they say. I don't know what they're really trying to do, but whatever they're trying to do, what they are doing is they're making everybody more extreme in their political views.
That's probably true.
They're creating echo chambers, and also incentivizing the most ridiculous, the most outlandish, the most extreme language.
Yeah, and it sucks. It's writing comedy trial and error. Well, all comedy's trial and error. But we can have like a perfect joke, and then it's like, oh shoot, I guess Facebook doesn't like that word.
Yeah, usually the trial and error is the audience laughing or not. Right. Now it's the algorithm accepting
the robot
it or not,
going ha 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 or not,
which is weird.
or Mark Zuckerberg. That's funny. That's not.
I don't get that one.
I don't get that joke. Burn her? What? That's really offensive.
Have you ever seen Monty Python? I'm not into reptiles.
I think all moderators at Facebook need to watch Monty Python. That should be required. Hey everybody, Kyle here from the Babylon Bee. I hope you really enjoyed that video. If you did, head on over to our YouTube channel because there's a lot more where that came from. We do animation, funny sketches, we have a weekly podcast, we interview a lot of crazy and fun people. So go check it out, hit subscribe, like, share, comment, interact with us on social because we feed on your love. And we might even reply and interact with you back. So check it out. Thanks a lot for watching.